Right, everybody, welcome to Recruitment Ops. I did it again, and today I'm joined by the lovely Glyn Blaize here at Fosse HQ. For people that don't know you, Glyn, would you like to just do us a quick introduction? Yeah.
Okay, so Glyn Blaize, COO at Fosse. History, was a recruiter once upon a time. RecTech, developed a piece of recruitment technology. That then sold in lockdown, went on to be COO of a tech scale-up business. That sold in 23, then came across to Fosse, played the part of COO, and then now I'm running the consultancy business, which is two consultancies within that.
Cool. Okay, wicked. And thank you for agreeing to come on the pod. I obviously was saying to you before that there isn't really a channel for people from ops to speak about their experiences and their journey, and I know that that's a growing part of recruitment agencies, ops functions, and investment in that. So what I thought we could cover off today was starting with your journey a little bit, actually. So was a recruiter, what were you working? What market?
Yeah, so I started off, this will show my age, 1999. Started off as a trainee in secretarial.
Right, okay.
Literally fell in love every day.
No.
Started off in secretarial and then moved into architecture.
Okay.
And really enjoyed architecture. Ended up sales
construction architecture.
Yeah, construction
IT,
architecture. Yeah. Ended up being sales director and ops director for an architectural recruitment business. Moved from there, and then it was after that I moved to be a sales director at another business. And it was, remember we had the crash?
Yeah.
And it was like, I got there and I spent like the first however long having to do a reorg. Anyway, we got through that. And then some friends that I was at a university, they had a growing insurance recruiter, and they basically needed like an operational whole fit done. And that's when I sort of got into ops. And that was quite exciting, when a recruitment company is growing and the pains you had at day one were very different to the pains you have at day five. And, and those were the days where, the business was small enough that when we did the office move, you were completely involved. Like plugging phones in to actually doing all of, that's when I first started doing like the outsourcing to India for data and analytics and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and every time there's an office move, everyone tries to switch their desk phones and the lever because the cord's gone already and stuff like that. God, I've been through a couple of those. Did you always think or know that you'd go down an ops track in your career, or
I knew I'd do something different. I think I wasn't like a massive biller, like I was a 260, 270 biller. So like I wasn't like, one of the £1 million billers or anything like that. But I think my personality is just like, I like it constant and varied, so I always knew that I would find like doing recruitment quite difficult, but I kind of wanted to go into kind of a role where something different happens every day. Ops was really, really good for that. And what was really interesting from that is that the like 3 ops roles that I had in recruitment, that's when I ended up going off to do consultancy similar. Not necessarily, it was kind of like a crossover between ops and sales, in terms of we were going into smaller recruitment companies and basically helping them scale and grow, but both from a ops perspective and from a sales perspective. This one I had a consultancy called Adacura, and that's what flipped into Northstar. Because as you probably know, you go into a number of businesses and you realize, it's like kind of like the same problem, but it's like a different angle, a different flavor. But I can see it's quite interesting to see how so many companies have, and as they go through, the different stages, when you're like a small, 20, 30 people in a room is very different to when you hit 80, 90, it's very different to when you hit 200. So yeah, I just found it really, really interesting. And like Northstar was a product of saying, right, okay, from an ops perspective, what I'm doing is I'm going in here, going in there. But actually, part of the challenge and the issue is that you need to leave something in the business which keeps them true, so they don't just revert to type. And this was like, it started in the era where everyone was like really like KPIs, but it was like, how do we create like a really good operational system, but also like the feedback into the business, both from a recruiter's perspective and from, we're having board meetings and what data do we look at from there. And that's where Northstar came about. So
I got a very interesting talk about Northstar. I don't even know if I told you this before, But when I was the ops manager at Boss Professional Services, it was a multi-brand recruitment firm. We had two chaps come over from Opus, Jack Turner to launch Solar and Matt Abbott to launch Wind. And I was in charge of all the reporting, right? And we had like 6 different tools that I had to pull exports from. Then I'm copy and pasting tabs over. Then I'm putting the columns in. I was doing that every single Monday for 5 divisions, divisional tabs, then a management view on the top. And it was like, I got in early every Monday to do it. Anyway, one week I forgot to send it. Not one person said anything. And I was like, no, I'm not doing it next week. Didn't do it. No one said anything. Then the managers meeting came round and then all of a sudden everyone's like, Si's not sent the report out. I was like, none of you bastards were reading it. That's why I never sent it. Anyway, I was sat there and I was drawing away on my thing. And I was like, I'm going to design a product that can pull all these stats and analytics things. And I drew it all out. And me and Jack Turner were good friends because weirdly, he was on reception doing work experience between uni years when I came in for my final interview in recruitment. So we've known each other for a long time. And I've shown him this idea. I was like, JT, I'm going to be a millionaire, bruv. This is my idea. And I described it to him and he went, yeah, this already exists, mate. I was like, what do you mean? I didn't know anything about RecTech. Didn't know anything about products. And he was like, yeah, there's a thing called Northstar. Like Opus had got it, I think. And he was talking to me about Northstar. And I was like, oh God, I can't believe it. I thought I genuinely solved a massive problem. But yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
And that Northstar, and I like what you said there about the data that's at a board level and at a consultant level, a desk level, because I think it's important that everyone looks at the same stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's funny when people want to like really hide board dashboards to the floor. So what was that like? Because you had fun doing that, right?
I love the startup world. I mean, there was one part which was, you're going in and you're understanding clients' challenges, but also understanding, we'll create this baseline for you, but what do you want to achieve? How do you? And they were clients like Stanton House, for instance. They were sort of growing quite large, and they wanted to build models to basically bring a recruiter in, have a model which you could essentially plug a recruiter into, and they would come out after a certain amount of time, billing a certain amount of money, and we worked together and were able to build that within the system for them. So you saw things in real time actually working, and then other clients that you'd go into and you'd realise that they've been working on paper for so long, but they were making like so much money, but they were working on paper, and you'd realise that you could save them so much time, which was interesting. And then there was the other side where we had like all of the scoring. So let's say, for instance, you had a consultancy where you had lots of managers across that consultancy, and they were trying to work out their commissions, and we had this like scoring whereby like the management bonuses and things were based on there's an algorithm around it, but the score that each of the members of their team had, so that all of the team members needed to be performing at certain levels.
It was like a spider.
Yeah, did you say spider?
It was a spidergram, wasn't it? So you needed everyone to be.
So it's like in a web. And
Yeah.
like how that really works really well, and then things like percentage of target, and there was a number of different things that we did. Obviously in that realm there was sort of us, and there was Bullhorn, and then
that's right.
the guys at One Up came along. I think before us, I forgot what the other one was before us. But it was a really exciting, interesting time. So and like we had like both like sort of Salesforce clients as well, who were like quite different, because the Salesforce ecosystem is very different to the Bullhorn. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and was that the bulk of your customers then? Bullhorn? Was it a Bullhorn?
Well, no, we had sort of Bullhorn, Salesforce, Itris.
Wow.
We were doing we didn't sort of end up doing stuff with Vincere. Oh, RDB. So Access Group was like a lot of our clients were Access as well.
RDB, I loved RDB Pro. I loved that system so much. The Notebook. The Notebook, I still remember it. Yeah. And then what happened with that business then in the end?
So that sold to Access in the end.
How did you feel? Was it everyone must feel an element of bittersweetness.
It was weird because it happened at a really weird time that it was lockdown. I'd got a little bit ill. COVID had taken out my kidneys. My dad got vascular dementia. And it was just it was that first summer that was just like really, do you remember? It was what?
2020,
hot summer. It was bonkers. And I think Charlie, who was my co-director, I mean, she went across to Access. I knew at that point that like I just loved being in that sort of tech growth business. So and Access felt like a really big business. So I wanted to like do that tech journey again. And I was invited by like the company that we got our developers from to come and be their COO, and they'd just got some investment from BGF. And they had some lofty ambitions, and yeah, we managed to nail that.
BGF is the British one, isn't it? They
Growth
have
fund,
the
it's
growth
the banks,
That's it.
yeah.
I'm trying to think who has BGF.
So Odro were a BGF company.
Yeah. Which recruitment agencies? No recruitment agencies.
I don't know.
I feel like Metric or Harnham might have been them, but so how did you end up back in the recruitment agency world? How does that go?
Do you know what?
Was it like I'm sure people sit there and think, how do people like Glyn get jobs? Is there a rec to rec somewhere that's just calling you up going, hello mate, you've got this amazing opportunity?
No, so when I joined Amdaris, and it was really a small company. There were about 200. I say small, but like the 200 was like spread. But the Bristol office, I think our Bristol office was just about 6 or 7 people, and we did this like huge scale up journey. So like within 3 years, we were just nearly 1,000 people. Offices across Ukraine, Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria. It was just fantastic. And then we got bought by Insight, so massive American global, 12 billion, 12,000 people. And it became like instantly like incredibly corporate and stuff like that.
Literally instantly.
Well, I say literally instantly. I think it's really interesting how it's all worked out, but like just things slowed down. And it was very much a lot, like we'd gone on this crazy growth journey, and then a lot was about, they've set you your targets in terms of earn out and stuff like that. So everything's like really tight. We've got to get to these milestones. So I kind of reached out. So Harmonic, Charlie Walker, who runs Harmonic, he was one of my clients previously, and I really just got like, he just seemed really like really, you meet people and they're just really human and you get on with them. And he was someone I could go out for dinner with and we could talk a bit about, sort of whatever. And then, he had the stories as well. So I just sent him a text and said, I might look in the industry at some point, just keep me in mind, kind of thing. And then he just came back a little while after saying, I just want to make you an introduction, And I kind of thought when I'd gone into tech that I wouldn't go back into recruitment. And I came here to this office and I walked in, and in tech, like where I come from, the offices just unbelievable. So I came in here and I was like, all right, it's like kind of a recruitment office with, this and that. And I was like, And then I met Ollie, CEO, and I met Hannah, who was the CPO. They were the first 2 people I met when I came in. And we sat around the table, and for me, a lot it has to be human. Like so, adventure. Give me an adventure, and I love the idea of adventure. Very sort of Lord of the Rings. It's going to go good. It's going to go bad, but it's going to be an adventure. We're going to do it. Kind of thing. And we were just around the table, and then I was like, I really like these people. And then I met Dave, who's the Chief Commercial Officer, and Omar, and it just felt really like electric in the room, and like we kind of, really sort of connected. And I was like, do you know what? Like, I might just jump into this, kind of thing. So it was nice because I wasn't in a rush to leave, and there's like kind of like I made a lot of friends, and I spent a lot of time like opening offices up across Europe and stuff like that. And I remember doing like when I actually handed my notice in, I remember we did I think it was 4 countries in 5 days, and like doing like presentations and stuff like that. And I remember like every time we landed in a different country and looked at the teams that built like the pain, do you know what I mean? The pain of those people who you saw who were like, let's say for instance, it could have been someone who was sort of like sort of a Unilever in their career, and you'd like worked with them and you'd seen them like grow, and there was one of the developers who was on the Northstar project called Ivan, and it was a nightmare, but like I called him my son because I just really, like, and so there's a lot of relationships, and I mean I'm still in touch with a lot of people there, and I'm still in touch with the CEOs and like crack on. But and then I came across here, and it was just like they're going on an adventure. They'd become an EOT. So like in recruitment terms, like there's not very many recruitment firms who are like, right, okay, let's bring all the staff on the journey and give them skin in the game and a piece of the pie. And I met Simon LaFosse, and my last interview was with Simon LaFosse, and sat down and we did like all the interview stuff, and then we just like, you know, like when it just switches and you just start talking, and we were talking about life, and I was talking about some of the things that I'd been through in terms of religion, in terms of kidney and whatever, and he was just so human, and I don't know, he just had this, and he'd had his own experiences, and he'd had his own friends who'd had certain experiences and things like that, and you know, it just felt really real and natural, and not like, "Way, let's go for it," you know, that felt a lot more like sort of considered. So I was just like, you know, you guys.
Yeah, nice. That's so interesting. And like for people that might be listening and don't know that the EOT piece, do people go EOT with a journey endpoint in mind, or is it you become EOT because that's the benefit for providing skin in the game for your employees without necessarily an end in mind?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think the fact that you can, as an organisation, create an environment where you're not just on stage telling everyone that they are a part of it and they're part of the story, and but becoming an EOT, you are actually in it together, and it does change the way that people make decisions, because it's like it's your money kind of thing. You know, it's a collective thing. Then there's the other side, which is the commercial side, where we do have a long range plan. We've got like a 5-year plan in terms of what we want to achieve, you know, the NFI we want to achieve, you know, what we want to do in terms of who we want to be, what we want to be known for, what parts of the business we want to see really grow and develop and all of that. And, you know, I'd be wrong in saying, you know, that you do hope that at some point that there is something that happens, you know.
For everyone.
Yeah. And that's not just like, you know, shutting up shop at some point. Like the whole idea is that you have like a long, you know, you want to go beyond 5 years, but you do want to be working towards something that, you know, allows everyone to think, like, we're all in this together. Yeah. You know,
I heard about something that you did on EOT birthday day, because you have an EOT birthday. Did you do handwritten cards to people?
Who told you about this?
For people listening, Lottie used to work for me. I hired her in her first job in recruitment. And I mentioned that I had a meeting with you, and I think the EOT birthday was coming around the time. And I think she sent me a voice note. I was like, oh my God, Si, guess what? We all got handwritten notes for dinner, which is a lovely touch there, man. I mean, those things
wrist.
No. But it was a nice touch, and I'm sure everyone takes it well and it's received well.
Yeah. I think it is quite personal here, because I kind of even think like, I was quite surprised. So at Christmas, I finished on like the 15th, and I sent like voice notes round to like my leaders and some of the people in the team, just to say thank you and encourage them. And it was just something that I was just like reflecting on Christmas. And some of the messages that I got back that I didn't expect to get back, but like I was playing them to my wife, and I was going, hear this. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is amazing. It's like we actually really feel. And like we just had our kickoff, and this year we did a different kickoff. So traditionally, it's like, you know, the big, like last year was Ministry of Sound.
I remember seeing it.
I wasn't at that one, but just because I had the operation. But like Ministry of Sound, big, bold, and like, you know, that works. And then there was this idea this year that we have sort of a more intimate service line by service line.
Nice.
And that was brilliant, because we were all able to bring our different flavour to it. Like that was, you know, we're talking about songs. I wrote a song for ours, that we were talking about. But it really felt connected. Yeah. Like in that, like it was, you know, we're all on this journey. We're looking at budgets. We're looking at the trajectory we're going on. But it's like it's us as a unit who are part of something bigger. Yeah. But we've got all a personal responsibility for like sort of delivering something incredible. Nice. And I think that really resonated. I think it did anyway.
With everyone,
it did. Like there's a lot. We're just doing a survey at the moment just to capture, you know, how people found it. Yeah. And
see, if I worked at Fosse, depends. If 22-year-old Si wanted a kick-off, I'd want it with everyone, so that we could chat up some girls from the other divisions. But if it was 27, 30-year-old Si, I'd want it service line, because then the content is just so much more, it just hits so much deeper. Right?
And I think this was the feedback that we got, is that like, whilst the kickoff is like really, the big kickoffs are really like exciting from like a wow impact. Yeah. If you think about the content that one person, like, you know, if there's 100% content here, there may be 40% that they it's probably not even that much.
It's not that much,
yeah,
is
it's
it?
not.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot that gets lost
Lost.
in those.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, when we were talking about like who we are, and you can be quite personal in those kickoffs and like call out different like departments within your service line and call out different processes and things that you've done. So yeah, it's both of them work for different reasons, you know, but it's been good doing that this year.
Because I think I introduced you to David Weir at Tyler Hill, and I think they did the same this time round, where they split out their interim and search businesses. So their search team went off, and the interim business went off, but then they reconvened in the evening. So they did a big one after. So you can try and tick off both sides, right? Okay. Brilliant. That's such an interesting journey, and like even there's some stuff in there that I didn't actually know. So that was quite interesting because we haven't known each other for that long, actually, really, have we?
No.
I think we can thank Dries de Costa.
Yeah, he introduced us.
Literally.
But then you realise that we know all the same people.
Yeah. It's so crazy, isn't it? That
it's so funny.
I've got to say, since I launched Embedded Ops, I had no idea about the supplier ecosystem. Like I'd bought a couple of CRMs, I'd bought a couple of contact scraping tools, but there is a whole, I was going to call it the underbelly, but it's not the underbelly, but there is a whole underworld of suppliers that prop up the recruitment industry. And luckily I don't mind networking, and I can hold my drink and I can go out. So it's so nice. It's been nice for me to get to know him. Dries is a great example of someone that's just like, here's things, what do you do? Are you doing good things? Connects you to people straight away. He's a great connector of people. And then I think he just threw us in a WhatsApp group. But around that time, where does tech fit within? Does tech sit across all or in a central function here at Fosse? Because you're involved in a lot of that, aren't you?
Yeah, I was. We've now got a CTO who is looking after the whole tech landscape. I think for any business that is wanting to grow and wanting to do some exciting stuff, you need to kind of be on top of and have experts running that area, or have expert advice coming in to run that area, because I think that the landscape is changing at such a rapid rate, and it is quite easy, A, to get left behind, B, to make mistakes, C, to not be cognizant of all of the different tools and things that people can use. And I kind of feel like it'll be interesting to see what the next 2-3 years happen within recruitment, in terms of like how AI transforms recruitment as an industry, just given that there historically has been so much administration within the recruitment process.
That's a really interesting point. I mean, my advice at the moment to everyone who's asking me is just laugh when vendors are asking you for 2-year contracts, because I think I hung out with Access Group's dev team the other day, and they were talking about literally ripping up roadmap documents because it was like they now have their own AI developers. And I spoke to a couple of other RecTech providers. They're like, we can release stuff like this now. You tell us something you need. Nick Brown at Device this morning, he says, we're building stuff that people are asking for within 3 to 6 months easily, and it's out. So my word of advice to anyone at the moment is do not sign up to long contracts, because you might need to pivot into using a different tool.
I had lunch with the AI director at Holsbrook Publishing. I think they're the third largest publisher, and they're very, very deep into their AI, and some of the stuff he showed me is just absolutely phenomenal. But he was even saying there that they do not have a strategy past 6 months, like an AI strategy, because of the rapid, and this is like, a big business.
I mean, that they would have vast amounts of data. If you think about just the copy alone, the public, like each page.
And they've been going for years and years and years.
Exactly. I know, and recruitment agencies think that they've got a massive database with 100,000 CVs, and you've got publishers out there who are navigating AI. I do find it interesting though, because I don't know if I think the larger agencies, I'd consider Fosse to be a larger agency. It's eventually just got to be like Fosse LLM, isn't it? Like you just like it's.
That's the nirvana, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it's. I think historically, we as an industry didn't know that AI and data, just across like recruit. So even thinking from Northstar days, people didn't realize or didn't think that we would end up where we end up. So the way in which data historically has been captured, you know, if you had like data hygiene and data integrity from day one of setting up an agency, like whether it's 18 years ago, 13 years ago, whereas, you know, now I think a lot of agencies are realizing that, you know, there's probably some smaller agencies who have cleaner data and are able to adopt, you know, because there's a foundational element that you need in order to do some really good stuff, you know, and I think like everyone's sort of realizing that foundations are really important.
I think that mantra, slogan, narrative around good data allows you to leverage AI is a really positive one, and a good one, and everyone's thinking about that. But that same company I worked at, Boss Professional Services, where I thought I'd cracked it with my version of Northstar. I was in charge of suppliers, reports, source, ROI on spend, and I made the source field mandatory on the system we had at the time. I was quite well liked by the floor, I think. So most of them would listen to me, but I realised that what was it? Adzuna, maybe? Because it was the letter A, was first in the list. And in one quarter, I was like, fucking hell, we've done loads of deals off of Adzuna.
Give them all our money.
And then I was like, nah, I'm just going to remove Adzuna from the list. Next was CV Library. Next month, all the placements came from CV Library. I was like, this is crazy. Anyway, we didn't care about the source back then. And then do you know when we did care? I can't remember what year it was. I feel like it was 2021 or it's either 19 or 2021. I can't remember. When the job boards cost of a CV went from like 40p to £4. And so these renewals started coming in. No one ever batted an eyelid. 6 grand, 10 grand, no problem. And then all of a sudden 40 grand, 50 grand came through the door. And then I remember the founder going, here, Si, get in here. What is this? I need to know where all the CVs are. And I was like, man, I said, I bet we've got, by that count, I reckon we've got 40 grand's worth of CVs in people's downloads folders, in people's desktops. Do you know what I mean? Like it just exists everywhere.
But I don't think that wasn't just for you. I think that was like, right across the industry.
But imagine if back then, someone went in 2019, went up to my old boss and said, right, there's this thing called AI coming, by the way. Now, these are the amazing things you've how the behavior difference would have been mental. And I think even the older school people, and even the people that just cared about the readies and the money, and as long as they were making money, they didn't really care what it cost. Even those people, I think, would be looking at it now going, no, we actually should have a data strategy and a plan of action around it. Where do you see AI fitting in then realistically? Do you think you can run full process?
I think so. I think there'll always be a human element. I think like human agentic I believe will be the future. There's no way to get away from the fact that there are tasks that are done which AI can do far more accurately and far quicker. You know, you can't get away from that. There is the human element, which is the person-to-person negotiation, the way in which you craft the conversation about certain roles and all of that. I think perhaps at the lower end of the market, where let's say, and it's probably there already, let's say for instance, blue collar or shift work and all of that, that is perfect. Like credentialing and then shift patterns and all that, get them out and not needing to use human intervention or just having the checks and balances. I think that the further up you get, like I don't think search will become completely AI'd, so to speak. However, the scary bit, I suppose, is that AI, yes, it will become agentic and human, and probably sort of more agentic than human. But then there's the other side, whereby there are things that recruiters have had which internal resourcing teams have not had. And there's now things that internal resourcing, and we're even seeing the way in which LinkedIn operates now, like how internal resourcing teams are being given tools and ways of working which rival recruiters. So it'll be really interesting to see how that market goes. I think one of the things that came in and was really interesting for me at Fosse is like, number one, I'd never seen so many £1 million billers in one business. Just blew my mind. Just that they had worked out a methodology of getting people to 800, 900, 1 million, and more than 1 million. And in terms of, let's say, for instance, the best data a hygiene company. They weren't there, but yet that's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the hard part is being able to be so connected with your clients that you can make that much money
Yeah.
without doing data really, really well. So kind of like for me, like you look at it and you go, well, there's a massive win in there, isn't there?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
If you're
You've got
doing
flat tires. You're flying.
flat tire, yeah, you're flying, but you're winning the Grand Prix on flat tires. There, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just pump those bad boys up, and the world
I hear
completely
you,
changes. So like they're in a Fosse are in a really exciting position as they go through, and I think that's why it's really exciting having like like a CTO in there who knows the.
Are they appointed?
Yeah, he's appointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fractional. So yeah.
Nice, brilliant.
Yeah.
I think the on that AI piece, the Dutch Postal Service have done it. Have done the full AI end-to-end advert, interview, online, get started. I've seen them do that. But I don't think the human element of it is going to go away anyway. But I think parts of the process will do. I mean, I always bang on to everyone I know about process is more important than tech. That's all I ever say. And I've said I'd get a tattoo of it if I got enough likes on LinkedIn, but I didn't. So I didn't. But I might get it anyway.
Yeah.
What do you think about that piece? Like, I always say a good. You know, earlier we were saying you used to go into those agencies with Northstar, and they got like notepads and mobile phones, but they're doing numbers. I call them spit and sawdust agencies. Like Gold's gyms. That's what I picture them as. And I go into so many of those agencies, and they're like, and it's. I might be being stereotypical here, but generally there's a bit of a chap who's running it, and he's like, "Listen, mate, we're not into process here. We're just like we know what to do. We know the people. We're connected." And actually, you sit on the sales floor, and they all follow the same process. They have the same patter. They say the same thing here. They get the same information here. They put it there. This is how they use that information, and they have a process that they just don't have documented. But they've got the magic sauce, right? And so for them, they're so processed, and then all of a sudden you go, right, let's layer some tech onto it, and we'll supercharge you. Similar to the flat tires that we just talked about, right? What are your thoughts around process? How important is it? What is your mentality around it?
Do you know what? Like, I think when I was younger in the industry, I was very much about flair and people using their own exceptional skills and things to do the process. I think the older I've got, the more I feel like, there's no substitute for hard work, and process wins the day. But if you work hard, you've got good process, and then you layer that with flair on top, so people just love you. Do you know what I mean? You're going to scoop up. I think the challenge long term, and there's a debate at the moment, isn't there? Like AGI, how close are we to AGI? You know, if we're going to get artificial general intelligence, so like it's thinking for itself, that's going to change everything. But the question is, you know, are we 2 years away, or are we a long way? And it changes each week.
Every week.
Yeah, you know, kind of thing. But at the moment, I think there will probably come onto the market like a recruitment piece of software which enables people to build agents really, really simply and easily, but also someone to speak into it to say, this is the agent I want to create to do this. This is the agent I want to create to do this. This is the agent I want to create to do this. This is the agent I want to create to this. And now when you're looking at the way in which, let's say, for instance, you know, the voice technology in terms of voice bots, if you think like 12 months, how that's moved from 12 months. And I was having a conversation with my CTO earlier on, the CTO of the consulting brand earlier on, and he was talking about him engaging with a bot recently that he actually thought was, and like he's a unicorn. And he was saying that like it's got so good.
It's so good though.
And it's that kind of thing, isn't it? Like we saw, like, you know, sketchy stuff in terms of the way that people were just using ChatGPT, you know, like Google and stuff like that. And now you're realizing that actually there are things that you could, like, you know, people, you know, there's Jack and Jill out there at the moment, you know, who are doing really good job. You're seeing like people like Fixer and others who are like, you know, really condensing workflows and making stuff easier. But there's going to be a way where suddenly it becomes so accessible and so financially viable that your non-techie, non-whatever person who takes that time out to work out the flows and then works out where they can add the greatest amount of value within the process Do you know what I mean? Because then you don't need to be the biggest recruiter.
No. You just need to know how to use the tech.
Yeah.
So
do you know what I mean?
But do you know what though? The other thing I think that impacts that is, I'll give you an example. Is my dad the other day. He said I was around there with the kids, and we were talking about ChatGPT, and he was like, I think he called it GBT chat or something like that. Anyway. And I was like, listen, if my dad is hearing the words ChatGPT, it means it's getting out into society a little bit more. And I think once there's a societal baseline increase in knowledge of how these work, you don't have to even be techie, but just so you know what it is to some level, then all of a sudden you combine that with the accessibility, price point, the ease, no code, everyone's going to want to do it, which is why I think it's long for CRMs right now. I think it's like, I feel sorry for some of the CRM players out there in the recruitment marketplace, because I think you've got to go fast, and actually I don't know if they can go as fast as the clever ops director who works at a 200 seat business who's looking at you going, well, I'm building my own GPTs on the weekend, and you're telling me you can't build me a CV formatter or a transcriber or an onboarding system.
100%, and this is it, isn't it? Like, and having like sort of built software and realized that, you know, some of these software systems have got so much technical debt in them, to actually change them or they'd have to rebuild again in order to do it. But like, if you think about it, like, so there's certain things, like I was having a conversation yesterday, and the person I was having a chat with, they were talking about how there is this, I think he's trained as a nuclear physicist who's worked out this way of discounting psychometrics, because there is a way of the voice box actually being a footprint, essentially, like, you know, and the reason why is like they so like just the tonality and whatever of our voices. So you think eyeballs, all that, but there's all of this information that you can get. So from a voice box around your personality, around your health, and all of that, and how there are certain recruiters, like in, let's say, for instance, India and others, who are using this software tech when they're doing a process and they've got the profile of the person, getting all of the applicants to do a 30-second, 30-second whatever, and then they can discount based on, this has shown me the characteristics, you know, whether you've got tenacity, endurance, from that. So you kind of just think, start putting all of these things in the mix, and then everything starts to, you know, change quite considerably. There's stuff which is going on outside of recruitment, so in tech. So let's say, for instance, you know, the whole idea of digital twins, and actually, like, dating is broken, like the dating apps and stuff are broken. So they're looking at saying, right, okay, if I can create a proper digital twin of myself, like properly done,
who goes on first dates for me
with other digital twins, can do multiple pre-screens, and then I get the one person who I will whatever
connect with. That's like, wild.
So like, there's all of this stuff going on within the industry, and like, I'm always thinking about, like, what is adjacent? What is recruitment adjacent? You know? So like, if we, like, that's going to make loads of money in that industry, but like, often when we see innovations, they were something that was used in this industry and created waste or didn't do such and such. But you put it into this industry,
and it's amazing.
You know, like, I was at Christmas, my daughter loves like squidgies, and I'm like, I'm sure this is just waste material which is like painted, you know, like the squidgy stressful, but like, it's a whole industry, you know.
Of course it is. It's the Kodak story about the felt. Have you heard that one?
No.
Do you remember the old Kodak, you know, the photo reels, and then the end used to always go light because the light used to touch it, so the ends were always a bit naff. A guy realised that that's what was happening, and all they needed was a tiny little bit of felt to go on the end to stop the light going in. And apparently just went and picked up felt offcuts that were waste, and sold them into Kodak. Said, how much of this do you need? And made loads of money. Right? So, you know, do you know what I mean? But like, what that's the innovation.
And he's living in an island somewhere, isn't he? Of his felt offcuts. Although we don't use film anymore, but it's that kind of thing, you know. And I think you just hear more and more stories like this in terms of how AI, and like, you know, and this is just like that part of AI, but like, if you're looking like at robotics or you're looking at some of the neural stuff, you just sort of start to realize that the pace at which stuff is improving, and how people are really looking at different use cases. And one of the interesting things is that, I mean, I don't know how it's going to be in future, but the cost has allowed people to play around. You know, this could have been the reserve previously of large corporations and things like that. But the fact that you can sit at home and, you know, you can do a decent website in like 30 minutes and stuff like that.
I was unlovable over Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. But that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly. I was like trying to build a matching out, because for rec experts, I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to try and build something myself. I did end up having to buy more credits, which I didn't mind, because I basically used the Christmas break. I had 1 week off with the kids, family, downtime, pub, food, all that stuff. And then I had 1 week internal projects, and I did a whole day on Lovable. Man, the output at the end of it, I was just like, this is phenomenal. And do you know what? Even if the output's not there, you've got all the code behind it. You've got the blueprint to go, hi there, can someone just build this for me, who's maybe a little bit further ahead of me in the tech.
Well, I remember when we went out with Northstar, we sold firstly on a PowerPoint, one deal's on a PowerPoint, not even the product. Then we got Figma, so you could really show like there was nothing
responsive. It was like,
you could show what was going on. And they're like, oh right, it's a working app, you know, sort of thing. And like you needed that traction in order to get going, and then like you sort of delight customers afterwards. But like you think about it, like people's access to Lovable and other types of platforms where you can have an idea,
natural language.
By the end of the day, you can have a concept which you can put in front of an investor or an angel, saying, you know, and it's like you can test your concept with a pilot group, you know, all of this, and you think things have changed.
Yeah, it's so I think the speed that you can do anything, it's the speed that I find most worrying, because I don't think everyone is considered. So I think the problem with some of the AI stuff is, and if you put it in recruitment context, 6-9 months ago, you got, you know, prominent networks in recruitment, people who are influencers saying, AI is don't get left behind by AI. Like people that used to sell personal branding are now selling AI courses. It's like, come on, you know, that everyone does that in our industry. We know that's going to happen. Something becomes popular, something is a thing, people sell against it. But pushing all of that narrative, founders went back to the ranch, and you could have 10 people or 1,000 people, and they're like, well, we need to start using AI. Can you imagine? Like, I dread to think how many CVs in 2025 were just uploaded to ChatGPT or non-paid versions. I dread to think how many people have put terms through their clients' emails through their it's all out there now. And that's because people are always. I think people are just too quick to do things. Like my first thing when I see new things is always. And it's weird because my personality is more extroverted. I go out, I like to have a good time, I do what I want. But when it comes to business or work things, I'm always like, I don't know, I'm just going to keep an eye on that for a minute. Just going to see what happens. What's the early mover advantage? Like people are racing to AI native CRMs, and I'm like, well, what's the early? I don't get the early.
There's a whole thing around governance though, isn't there? Like I think we're going to see more and more stories. Like we know that like the governance industry over the next 5 years, I can't remember, it's like 30% growth year on year that it's going to have. Like, so, you know, there's a lot that people know about AI, LLMs, you know, drifts, hallucinations, you know, all of these things, and also like a lot of the biases and things that have come through that need to be sort of dealt with. So, you know, because it's an early technology, we don't yet fully understand all of the implications. My other worry is that I think there's going to be a bit of a brain drain. Just realizing that so many people are stopping thinking because AI will do the thinking for them. And I think in the short term it doesn't matter, but
what's the impact on us as a species?
It's worth thinking about, isn't it? And it's worth thinking, you know, we've got kids, you know, what does that mean for the next generation?
How old's your youngest?
7.
7, yeah. So mine are 4, and you know, I have this conversation with my missus all the time, right? Because we signed the petition to ban social media for under 16-year-olds that's been out recently, and we don't have iPads. Like we have the iPads belong to mum and dad, and they can borrow them. And listen, we have a fun time. I'm equally as fun at home in the playroom as I am in the pub. Like I'm just fun with my kids, but we refuse to not to get the similar type of education that we had and the critical thinking type stuff. So they went to a Montessori nursery.
Oh, my daughter's in Montessori school. She went to Montessori nursery. She's now in a Montessori school.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't even know they existed.
Well, we didn't know they existed. And,
so nurseries.
We took her out of like mainstream school for her to go into Montessori, so she can be there till she's 12.
What? Yeah. So when we were looking at nurseries, I went into one nursery with Cheryl. Side story, but went to this nursery, Cheryl, and there must have been like 30 kids in there, and Stacey from Staines is in the corner, like got 6 kids screaming, shouting, everyone's running around, and I was like, this is long, like this is not like, is this a nice environment to be in? So I'd had a full day in London, come back for this tour, and there's just kids going mad around. I was like, and look at my daughter, and my daughter would not like this. She's quite chilled and calm. My son wouldn't care. And then Cheryl was like, right, I found this Montessori one, we'll go again. And I was like, oh, I could care less. I literally could care less. And then she was like, no, it's Montessori. And I didn't look into it or anything like that. And I got there, and I thought we walked into a cult. The kids were like, had their own mats.
And they cleaned up after themselves.
Tidying up after themselves.
And they wore the little slippers.
The little slippers with their names on them. And then I saw one doing like math puzzles with like the different length pencils.
Yeah, the little
and
abacus.
I was like, and I was like, this is a throwback, but I'm loving this because I'm a mathematical person. I enjoy like logical thinking. I like building block. My brain works in that way. So we are. I didn't know you got Montessori schools there. I'm gonna have to look at that. But I'm going down the route of saying we need to make sure that their critical thinking, decision making needs to not be reliant on tech. And do you know what? Even sometimes myself, I bought a giant whiteboard for my home office. Yeah. Because I was like, at the moment, I jot ideas down into chat or into OneNote, and then I throw it into chat at some point. Hey, can you just give me some ideas around this or flesh this out for me? And I've said to myself this year, I want to use the whiteboard. I want to have ideas. I want to flesh them out because actually, that's my IP. That's me. That's me. That's my value. And do you know what? I did that for, what are we now, 23 days in? In that 23 days, I've redesigned my entire website. I have launched or started recording this, done the artwork, 3 channels. I've picked up more work than I could want, and I just feel liberated from it. And I don't know, I'm putting it all down to the whiteboards, but honestly, like, my brain feels great because I feel like I'm using it more. I'm actually having every week I draw my plan on my whiteboard now. It's just But I think there's
a lot of time for that.
Yeah, I think we are. I mean, everything causes societal problems, right? When we were on. Did you do MySpace? I did MySpace.
MySpace. What was the name of the guy that popped up?
Tom from MySpace.
I don't know any Toms. What's he doing on my MySpace?
Tom from MySpace, who's now like retired photographer. But like when we were on MySpace, we wouldn't know all of the issues that it would cause now for kids and girls and Snapchat and all this sort of stuff. So I think there will no doubt be problems that we don't know. But all right. I actually don't know how long we've been chatting away for. So it's probably a good thing. Probably a good thing. One thing I have been trying to do, because I want to make sure that this just doesn't become another show, right? You're just talking about stuff. And this has been insightful, and I'm sure audience would like it. But my audience is going to be ops people or founders concerned with ops. So if we've got a solo ops person or an ops executive who's looking at getting ahead in their career, what advice would you give around being a value add ops person in their recruitment agency?
Yeah, I think the danger, and I think this is danger for all of us, is to think that all of the learning comes from the industry that you are in. I think along the way, wanting to know things quite broadly brings a whole a breadth of intelligence and stuff like that. So when you're talking to clients about their problems and you've like seen things work in different ways, there's things that you can always borrow.
I love that one actually. So look beyond the 4 walls of the recruitment industry. Yeah. And I think if you look at our industry, having been in tech for a while before coming back into, other industries are so far ahead of like the recruitment industry per se, in terms of the way that they adapt and they do things and they run. I think always be inquisitive. So like I've always like, if you haven't got time to read, get audiobooks. If you haven't got time for audiobooks, but you have a time, or you don't like audiobooks, do Blinkist or whatever. Like if you can take a posture of like always learning, you will always be able to bring something different to the equation. And it's not necessarily about ops, but it's about person to person. That people by people, and sometimes what the problem your client comes to you with may not be the underlying problem that they've got. Their problem may be 3 things backwards from an ops perspective. And the more that you and the client interact, the more they will open up about some of the problems, the challenges, some of the things that they worry about for the future of their business and all of that. So that's an aside. In a recruitment agency setting specifically, say if I was an ops manager in a 10-person recruitment agency now, and I would like to be the COO of Fosse one day. I appreciate it's a lot that goes into that journey. But what would you say could be the one single thing?
The one single thing.
It could be one of the things you've said already to me.
Yeah, the one. I don't know if there's a one single thing.
Hit me with the cocktail.
You don't need to have all of the answers.
Okay.
But you do need to know where to look.
Okay, that's great.
So
that's a great.
And this is the thing is like, I think sometimes from an ops capacity you get a problem and you want to solve the problem. However, there is someone somewhere who has had that problem, has done the mistakes, and has worked out the quicker way to do it. And if you can work out where you need to look or who you need to speak to, it does incredible things for your career. So, you know, I laugh. I was out with my old director yesterday, and she was going, "Oh, I was doing the thing that you do." I was networking, or whatever. And it's like she's saying like she doesn't enjoy networking,
right, but
she enjoys the fact. She knows the fact that actually, the more people you meet who've gone on the path before you, the more you can. Do you know what I mean? And it may be that they solve the problem, but they solve the problem to 70%, and you don't have to do all of that pain, and you can just do
jump
that next.
To 70.
Yeah, jump to 70 and just do that next 20-30%.
That's so good. That's such a good line. That's a good thing to live by.
Yeah.
I was terribly guilty of that. I used to always want to answer questions. I was a pleaser.
Yeah.
I was a contract recruiter.
Yeah.
I just wanted to please and be liked. Yeah. And so I learned that the hard way, because I once fluffed an answer and I just had my arsehole ripped out from underneath me. I got shouted at so much. I got like, they went mental at me.
Really?
Why are you chanting shit for? I just got called out for it directly.
But it's in some respects, those moments
taught me so much.
Those moments are great learning moments, aren't they?
And you surround yourself with people that know lots of stuff and you're well networked. But I genuinely think knowing who does what and in the industry and being connected makes such a difference. Since I set up the business, I've not really had to pay for any external help because actually I had a problem with my Office 365. I called up someone I know that does IT support for recruitment agencies. Yeah. I had a content LinkedIn channel problem. Yeah. I called up a marketing friend. And and you're so right. It's not about answering it there and then, but going away to find the solution. Because it's still you presenting the solution. Yeah. Have you seen that? Is it called the capability pyramid? Have you seen it where the bottom is identify problem, then it's root cause analysis, then it's come up with solutions, then it's ask permission on which one to do, then it's just go and do it and let them know. Yeah. I'm obsessing over that at the moment.
Nice.
Every time I meet people in my clients, like when I'm on my travels, founders always ask me, how's my ops team, what they like and stuff like that. And I've just started now putting them in the triangle. And actually, if you're in a room and a problem has come up, they don't need you to say, there is a problem again, do they? That's just irritating. They need you to come up with some solutions. They need you to think about some solutions or do the root cause analysis. Now, you might not know how to do that, but like you say, you go speak to 20 people or 10 people.
I'll leave you with one last one, because I often, not from an ops perspective, but I often use this from a people perspective. And it's something that I've lived by, and it is like, if you help enough people get to where they want to go, you will get to where you want to go. And I just think, like, even coming back into the recruitment industry, I kind of like think, I'm so pleased I didn't burn bridges and stuff, because you never know. You never know who you're going to cross paths with again. You never know, but if you do good by people, do you know what I mean? Yeah. You'll get where you want to go if you help them get to where they want to go.
Good people bring good people. Good energy brings good energy. Yeah. I'm a big believer in that, 100%. That's why I'm always smiling. And life's too short, man.
Well, don't I know?
No, exactly. Yeah. You good now? Feeling good?
I'm firing.
Yeah.
Firing.
Yeah.
Firing.
You look brand new, man. Yeah.
People keep saying that to me. What? Oh, you look so well. You put on some weight. You don't look like that.
Well, we're about to go eat some dinner and have some food, some more food and drinks. But thank you very much.
No, it's been really good.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's been great.
Oh, that's so good, man.
Was that right?
That's so good.